Batra Daf Ayin Vav Amud Aleph, 14 lines down. Ubapluta Dahai tonight, the Mahlok Batin Tana Kaman Rabbi Natan seemingly is the same Mahlok that we see in the following with the Rabbi. Mahlok we just mentioned was whether or not you can acquire a boat with Mashicha, pulling it. The Tanya Brata says, Otiot Mekhan Basira, an IOU note, a debt document can be acquired by handing it over. Give it a B, it's according to the B. I say, Ben Katav, Lomasar, Ben Masar, Lo Katav, if I wrote it's that I'm wrote a document of sale that I'm selling you the document of debt, but I didn't hand over the document itself. Or opposite, I gave you the document of debt without writing a document of sale for it. Lo kana, you don't acquire it. So you have to write it down that I'm selling it to you and handing you over that note. Right? Otherwise, if I don't write down that I'm selling it to you, maybe you're just acquiring the paper. How do you explain the Tanakh? Seemingly according to Rabbi. Problem is Svena Nami taking it. If that's the case, Tanakh should hold that a boat also should be sold or bought rather through Mesira, handing it over. Because but we know that you have to pull it. It says Rabbi holds that you can acquire the boat by handing it over without necessarily pulling it. I say no, look, you don't acquire it. Or you have to either pull it or you have to rent the place underneath it, the water that it's in order to acquire it. So we see over there that Rabbi holds that you can acquire it through Mesira, but then it doesn't fit with our Tanakama who holds it. You do Mishicha for a boat. So what's going on? The Gemara is like Hashem. Khan in the second Breta where Rabbi said that you have to hand it over, that's in public property, public waters. Khan in the first Breta where Tanakh holds it's you need to hand it, you need to pull it, is besimta. It's a pool of water in a simta. A simta is a special place and it's public, but it was like public business transaction area. Business only, you'd sit down for business meetings there. So it would be for your use to acquire things as if it's your property. So in this water, for example, if it's a simta water, it's a place it's public, but you can use it for your kinyanim to make an acquirement. Like Marcia, if that's the case, how do you explain the second Braita where you say you have to where Rabbi holds that you could hand over the boat? In public property. But then the last part of it says, say, you can't acquire the boat unless you do Meshicha until you pull it or you rent it. If it's public, how are you renting it? So how can you explain the Braita to my public? But two, another question is, Meshicha you can't acquire by pulling something in say, handing it over acquires in public. Or in a court, it doesn't belong to either of them. And Mishicha pulling it only acquires items in a simta, in the special business area. Or in a court, it belongs to both of them. But if you're lifting something, always acquires it anywhere. So we see that Bayin and Rabbi both hold that Mishicha does not work in public. So how can Hachamim say that you can acquire it in public, can acquire it with Mishicha by pulling it if we're talking about public? Where it says no. We mentioned doing Mishicha or renting it. Hachi Kamar says as follows. Either in public, you pull it from Rishut Rabim to the Simta, that's acquiring, or if it's in private property, then you have to, the buyer can acquire the boat by renting it from the seller, the water underneath it place. Now the Gemara says, does that mean Rabbi and Rava who hold over here seemingly that you can do Mesira publicly, seemingly it follows according to Rabbi, which is a problem because he's arguing Chachamim, and Chachamim is the majority, and we usually follow majority. Right says no. Amar Rashi Ida Amar lech hazek ukni hachedami. If the seller told the guy to acquire the boat and he says do a hazakah and acquire it, then Hachamim would hold that Mesira is good enough to acquire it in public. Hachamim, in our case, what are we talking about? The Amar he said lech mishuch vikani. Go and do and pull the boat. So now what if he just takes the boat? In that case, what happens? More savar kpeda. Hachamim say no. I told you to pull it. You just handing it over is not good enough, and therefore you're not acquiring it to either pull it or rent the spot. But more of our Rabbi holds no. I'm just letting you know what you can do. I told you to pull it, but acquire it any way you want. I'm just letting you know that the transaction is done, and you can acquire it now any way you want. It's like Rabbi holds, like I'm just letting him know. I'm just advising him what to do. But if you want, you could do it any way you want. I.e., if I tell someone, yeah, take the chair, I'm selling you the chair, bring your truck to pick it up, and you show up in a van, that's not a problem. I'm just letting you know how you could pick it up. So the B would say, I'm not requiring him to do Mesirah if he doesn't want to. Marfa. If someone sold a note, an IOU note, a debt note to his friend, he has to write in the sale document, you're acquiring the note and the lien that's inside. You're acquiring the entire loan and all what it entails. I one time mentioned this in front of Kana, and he told me, Well, so if I don't specifically write that you're acquiring everything inside of it, you're not going to acquire the actual loan and everything entails. What's the point? What am I just buying the paper? So if I don't write that I'm buying the entire loan and what's inside, seemingly I'm just buying the paper. What I need the paper for to use as a bottle cover. Amarlo, he says, answer him yes. In Latzor Levit Latzor, yes, you're gonna have to wrap it if you don't write that. Meaning, if you don't write that you're buying the document and the content of the document that you're buying out the loan, then maybe and we will look at the sale as you just put the piece of paper to use as a bottle cover.